on.
Alright, welcome back to our Singapore Premier Challenge. We'll be taking over on commentary for the rest of the day. My name is Matthew.
And my name is Isaac.
And we'll be handling the final game of our Premier Challenge, which will be between Poh Yu Jie and Pham An. But before... yes, Isaac?
That's okay.
Right, so before we begin, we'd like to have a quick discussion over the usage statistics of today's Premier Challenge, since Zhong was kind enough to compile it before the tournament even started. So as you can see, a surprising candidate at number 1, the Heat Run. A more familiar choice at number 2 with Duellers, but this is the first time, I think, locally at least, that Heat Run has actually overtaken Duellers in usage.
Yeah, that's true. Even though Heat Run has been a really popular choice with players throughout the entire season, for a matter of years, in fact, every year Heat Run has been allowed. It's constantly dominated in usage stats. But usually don't see Heat Run sitting right at the top, specifically in the format with like other powerhouses like Duellers and Kangaskhan. It's kind of unusual to see Heat Run right on top when there are plenty of other fire types around, but for some reason everybody this tournament seems to have chosen Heat Run to fill that very important role of being the team's fire type.
In fact, Kangaskhan today at number 4 with 11 Kangaskhan's used in today's Premier Challenge is actually a pretty low number for Singapore. We're used to seeing a lot more Kangaskhan's running around.
Yeah, that's true, but what also surprises me is actually how Salamence is only sitting at number 3, like the bottom, but like in the bottom half of the screen, because you usually expect Salamence to be one of the more popular Mega Evolutions as well. I guess it's been overtaken somewhat by Gardevoir, which has jumped up to top 10 usage. In fact, we're not usually used to seeing Gardevoir so high up. Wonder is because how Gardevoir tends to match up against Kangaskhan better together with an Amoonguss, and how Gardevoir generally has a more favorable matchup against the very standard chalk teams we're used to seeing around here, as compared to those frailer, more hyper-offensive Salamence teams that don't quite like fetching up against Trick Room Crocelias and with Kangaskhan next to them.
So some really familiar faces just filling up the top 6, with the infamous Chalk and Thunderous filling up the top 6, and Sylveon coming in at number 7 as well. Azumarill at 6 as well is pretty notable since Azumarill usage has been growing, especially in the US, where we've actually seen entire teams built around getting Azumarill to set up Belly Drum and sweep.
It's not surprising given how well Azumarill tends to fare against many Pokemon in the top 10 here. It hits pretty much almost like about half of the Pokemon I see in the top 10 for super effective damage, and once it sets up Belly Drum, it quite conveniently manages to plow through everything. Even being able to just one-shot Amoonguss with the now common choice of Knockoff once it gets Belly Drum up, even though Amoonguss resists both its steps. So not really surprising to see, and I expect to see a lot more Azumarill in the coming months, which seems to be happening already all over the world. Yeah, really not surprising because given how well we'll match against most of the common threats now. Yeah.
Alright, so I believe we are going into the game.
Are we?
Just a bit of background into this. Yu Jie, this is not his first time in top cut. He's cut fairly consistently throughout the season, and the only thing really stopping him from actually making the top cut in tournaments is the tournaments he actually can't attend, because this year has actually been his O-level examination year. But Pham An, his opponent, is actually not quite as well known for doing well in tournaments because he tends to play a rather offbeat style of games. And today's team actually definitely pans out as well in that direction.
Oh, and it seems like we're about to start. Both players' teams don't really need much of an introduction. Yu Jie adopting a very, very standard looking team, following the now common Chalk archetype, while Pham An's team is more or less a direct rip of a pretty notorious team which appeared during the World Championship stream. Even cleared day 1 all the way to day 2, and
beat Wai in round 1.
Yeah, even beat our local powerhouse player Lo Wai-in her first game on day 2. And yeah, it really doesn't need much of an introduction since it made like headlines after it appeared during the first match of the World Championships with its very unorthodox Smeargle set, which really broke new ground when it first appeared. No one really expected to see Geomancy and Hard Swap ever appearing in a serious game. Okay, looks like we're about to see the game beginning and see how it goes.
The Geomancy set actually did see usage in Japan's nationals. Just that it didn't get much attention because the player who used it, I think, only finished in the top 8.
Okay, that's new. Okay, we see Farman jumping in with Smeargle and Lucario wide, a normal lead. Possibly one of the more comfortable leads since Lucario is able to provide redirection with Follow Me, while Smeargle can pretty safely get off Dark Voids, which would disable UTS Pokemon and allow Farman to begin boosting up and setting up his sweep.
Somewhat dubious choice from ETS to an extent because, as we've seen, his Kangaskhan is the bulky variant, and coupled with Suicune, it means he has 2 Mons on the field that are slower than Smeargle, which means the Lucario will not actually need to press Follow Me. He can just go straight for the close combat on Kangaskhan, while Smeargle Dark Voids quite freely here.
Yeah, Suicune's quite a bulky Pokemon and doesn't really provide much offensive pressure unless it's able to hit its target super effectively. And in this case, I'm not quite sure if it's a good choice leading it into a team like Farman's, which is probably most easily beat by overwhelming offensive pressure. But now Suicune's not really going to be able to stop Farman from setting up, and since Suicune's probably going to be put to sleep this turn and isn't going to be outspeed Lucario or Smeargle, and definitely not going to knock out Lucario, so we'll have to see how that goes.
Uchiha does withdraw the Kangaskhan, realizing that it's been put in very bad position by the Lucario, and sends in the Among Us, who show it to close combat, and I believe getting off some Rocky Helmet damage as well.
Well, it's good that ETS is able to get some damage off into Lucario and breaking its focus sash. But on the other hand, Among Us is just about as passive a Pokemon as Suicune, so I'm not sure how much is able going to do now, as we see both Among Us and Suicune are going to get put to sleep, which is going to allow Farman to start setting up in front of ETS quite easily.
Suicune does have the Chesto Berry, and he goes for the Skull onto the Smeargle, fishing for a burn here, but he does not get it. And Smeargle Moody Boost gives it the speed, which is actually quite relevant at this point because it's faster than Suicune and Among Us anyway.
Yeah, it's might play out more useful later on in the game, but we'll have to see. And either way, for now, because of how passive each is 2 Pokemon are, Smeargle's just going to be able to get another dive off quite effortlessly, as we see here.
In fact, do you think Uchiha would be better off going for the Tailwind that turn?
Probably. That would have given him a bit more offensive pressure, but either way, it's hard to really do anything when you've only Suicune and Among Us on the field.
Though the fact still remains that Uchiha will doesn't really want Lucario on the field for an extended period of time because he needs a sweeper on the field as quickly as possible.
Yeah, that's true.
And in switching it in, he risks it coming into a Spore or even to an Ice Beam from Suicune if it's the Salamence.
Well,
so it's in Uchiha's interest to actually leave the Lucario there.
Yeah, that's true. Okay, now we see both Suicune and Among Us asleep. Not good for Uchiha at all. Suicune's going to be able to get off a Smeargle, is going to be able to Geomancy quite easily now. I guess if Among Us wakes up, things will get a bit more tricky for Farman, but either way, it's hard to really see ETS stopping Farman's setup right here and right now, so...
Uchiha is going to need one or even both of his mons to take a 1-turn sleep here.
Yeah, okay, we
see straight for the
Heart Swap.
To the Lucario.
Giving it an attack boost, I believe.
And the attack boost.
Yeah, that should be interesting to see. Rock Tomb coming up, hitting the Suicune, lowering Suicune's speed.
Perhaps trying to catch a switch in there?
Probably. Okay, Suicune wakes up, Skull comes off.
Takes out the Smeargle, which means that Geomancy is now out of the picture for Farman.
Not quite sure about Farman's play over there.
And
seems like he...
Uchiha gets both of the 1-turn sleeps, and all of a sudden the tables have seriously turned.
Yeah, I don't really agree with Farman's play that turn. I felt that he just basically threw away his setup opportunity by launching Rock Tomb instead of perhaps Close Combat. Even if he did go for Close Combat, he might be able to wipe out the Suicune at least. Well, he's just lost his potential boost on his Salamence, so we have to see how that works out for him. But right now, it's not looking too good.
Here we see Salamence is not going to be able to take out the Suicune in one hit. And with Lucario asleep, it's not going to be able to contribute damage to that extent. Since we've seen that Farman is using the special Salamence, which is not going to do enough damage to Suicune with Hyper Voice. He might not even take out the Among Us, in fact. And
Suicune shouldn't have much of a problem wiping out the Salamence with a super effective Ice Beam, so... Yeah, it's not looking too right for Farman at all. Okay,
Salamence does go for the Mega, so you would assume it is staying in here. So the question is, what is it probably going to go for Hyper Voice here, or actually goes for the Protect?
Perhaps wanting to see what EC is going to bring out.
Trying to get Lucario to wake up, probably.
Okay, Lucario takes his turn of sleep, and we see Suicune launching a Scowl onto the Lucario.
Predicting the fact that the Salamence would protect.
And yeah, Spore goes into the protect, as you would expect. I guess Salamence doesn't really have much of a choice but to go for the Hyper Voice now.
He's going to need Lucario to wake up and get the follow me off if Farman wants his mans to stick around.
Perhaps he could go for the close combat too, but I'm not very sure that will work if Among Us goes for the Rage Powder, but decent chance of
what. He does get to wake up, and he does go for the Rock Tomb onto the Suicune. Again, questionable as in why he's not going for the close combat. Or perhaps he thinks the Hyper Voice was enough to KO both mons at this range, and in fact it does.
Okay, interesting. Wasn't really expecting to see that.
So, Farman turning a potentially dangerous position into a very strong position, since now Lucario is awake and able to use Follow Me once again. As Farman's last mon is the Concorder, paired with the Kangaskhan.
Not good for Farman's Lucario actually. Concorder's gonna be able to wipe out Lucario with a Mark Punch quite easily. Before Lucario was able to get a close combat off into Kangaskhan. So, it depends on what Salamence has to do now, I guess. Hyper Voice isn't going to wipe out Concorder in one hit, so going to take a bit of maneuvering now from Farman's side if he wants to pull this off.
Farman still has one more in the back, which you expect is either the Aurorus or the Chandelier. Chandelier here would wall Kangaskhan quite effectively to an extent, but Aurorus would probably take some of Kangaskhan's hits as well.
Aurorus wouldn't want to be in this facing off against this duo at all with its 4 times weakness to fighting.
That is true.
And Kangaskhan probably has a fighting move under its belt too.
Power Punch,
so
yeah. We've seen Power Punch in the previous game.
That could be.
He actually goes for the Sucker Punch onto the Salamence. I go to the Lucario and actually takes it out. So I think he's going for the Ice Punch here onto the Salamence.
Okay, Salamence probably going to fire off Hyper Voice, not going to be able to wipe these two out safe for critical shenanigans.
Likely holding the Assault Vest there, able to take the Hyper Voice quite comfortably and finish off the Salamence with the Ice Punch.
Yeah, I think this is pretty much ETS game. I don't really see Farman pulling this off
Aurorus would stand no chance against this duo.
But it's Chandelier coming in. Still a chance, I guess.
If he has Will-O-Wisp, he could still probably pull this out. But if he attacks in any way, Kangaskhan will just finish off the Sucker Punch, which it does.
And I think that's game.
Going to a game 2.
Wait. If Heat Wave comes off. But we see overheat.
The Kangaskhan. But that will mean knockoff will pick up the KO subsequently.
A bit of a questionable play there. I think Farman might actually have had a chance to pull that off had he targeted a Concorder instead and burned the Kangaskhan after that. And stall Kangaskhan's HP, slowly whittling it down by the burn. He could have probably pulled that off.
But then again, we have no idea what the Farman's Chandelier actually has on his moveset.
Yeah, that's
other
true.
Than the overheat.
Would make sense for Will-O-Wisp to be there though.
He might not even have Heat Wave as well.
Yeah. If he did have Heat Wave, he probably should have gone for it and that would probably have sealed the game in his favor. But given that he has overheat, it's probably quite safe to assume that he's not carrying Heat Wave, since Chandelier probably does want to run a Ghost type move as well.
And the way the team works is all, one version of the team that I've seen online is the Chandelier actually uses support moves like Acid Armor and Minimize in order to provide a psych up target for the Aurorus. So that might be the case here with overheat being his only attacking move. In which case his fate was probably sealed.
Yeah, indeed. Guess we'll really have to watch a bit longer to see exactly what Farman is running on his Chandelier. For now, we'll just have to wait for the next game and wait for that, I guess.
Farman perhaps not really getting... But Farman suddenly changing his strategy mid-game, you can say, because instead of going for the Geomancy setup, he suddenly turned around and hard swap his own Lucario and hoping to set up a Lucario sweep in a sense, but throwing away his Geomancy opportunity.
I have to agree there. I think Salamence with the Geomancy boost should have been able to plow through the majority of ETS team quite effortlely, given that it was Concorder and Kangaskhan in the back.
Yeah, without the Cresselia.
I still don't quite understand why he would have thrown away that that opportunity Geomancy he had earlier when it was quite a comfortable opportunity.
He was actually afraid of the worst case scenario, which is both of his opponent's bonds taking a 1-turn sleep, which actually did happen. But because the Spore was, I think, targeting his partner, he probably could have survived the score after the Geomancy boost and stayed alive to pass the boost on the next turn.
Yeah, so I guess we can see that it's not really impossible for Farman to pull this off. It's a decent matchup, so who will take this next game is anyone's
guess.
guess.
For the combo once again.
Smart play. It seemed to work pretty well for him the last game. I don't see any reason why he wouldn't want to pull that off.
And
but Yu Jie chooses to switch.
Really support lead. But now that we know that Suikun has the Chesto Berry,
yeah, it really changes things around, since the extra turn of damage could potentially disrupt a lot of Farman's momentum. So not as bad a lead as it seems.
But now without the threat of Fake Out from the Kangaskhan, although we do know that it does not actually carry Fake Out, the Lucario can just follow me Dark Void and play from there.
We have to see, like we did mention earlier, if Suikun is able to set up Tailwind, it could potentially turn things around a little bit, since that would allow Suikun to outspeed both Smeargle and Lucario most probably.
Barring a Moody boost for Smeargle.
It's hard to really tell what's going to happen now until we actually see the players make their moves, because there's so many options here right now.
It's going to be, Farman's just going to have to play carefully around the Chesto Berry on Suikun, because he knows that Suikun will not be disabled this turn. So either the Tailwind or the attack will come off.
Really have to wonder which will be the best play actually. It's really hard to visualize the scenarios right now.
Follow me into an immediate Geomancy might actually be an option for Farman here.
That's true. Okay, but we see Rock Tomb coming off.
No Spiky Shield from Smeargle either, so Smeargle's likely going for the Dark Void. And he does go for the Dark Void, hitting at least one of his opponents since the animation goes off. As we see...
Among Us dodging
avoids, while Suikun, the one holding the Chesto Berry, is the one that takes the hit and immediately wakes up.
A wasted turn there for Farman, not exactly the best outcome possible. We see Suikun firing off Scowl onto Smeargle.
Critical hit,
getting a critical hit, doesn't get the burn.
But Spore will disable the Lucario.
That's quite a good turn for Yu Jie, really. The extra damage potentially coming in handy. Shame he didn't get the burn. But speed boost once again. Not changing anything right now, but might come play an important part later on, especially with Smeargle's Dark Void.
Again, Yu Jie probably going to go for the Dark Void again here. The question is, does he keep his Lucario in, or does he switch it out? For something we can afford more offensive pressure.
I don't think Farman has a lot of very safe switches in right now against a Suikun. Switching in Salamence now, even if it does come in safely, doesn't really do much in the long term, since Suikun's going to be able to absorb most of Salamance's attacks very comfortably and hit back with an Ice Beam, knocking it out. And Chandelier really doesn't want to come into that slot which is being prone to targeted by Scowls right now.
He does go for the Dark Void as Lucario stays in to take his turns of sleep. Dark Void goes off again. Is he going to hit both of his opponents? Suikun does go to sleep, and this time the Chesto Berry is no longer active. And Among Us takes this sleep as well. So Smeargle with a chance to set up Geomancy next turn.
And Lucario takes his first turn of sleep. Remains to be seen how many turns of sleep he'll take. But if it does wake up next turn, that might shake things up quite a bit. In fact, both of ETS Pokemon take their turn of sleep as well.
Smeargle actually gets a special attack boost here, which
it does.
He can actually go straight for the Heart Storm next turn.
But we see in its accuracy drop, not exactly ideal.
He's got +2 special attack and +2 speed, which is actually effectively the boost that you want to be passing by Geomancy onto the Salamence. So it's definitely an option here, because if he goes for Geomancy here, there's a risk of either of his opposing mons taking a 1-turn sleep. But at the same time, his Lucario could wake up and follow me the attack away.
That's true. I guess it'd be really good. ETA really doesn't want to go for an offensive move now with Lucario either, since it's a very real possibility of Among Us waking up and absorbing any attacks thrown at Suikun. And Lucario really can't touch Among Us that much.
So he's going to be running Who's Follow Me.
So I guess Farman really wants to change things up a little bit this turn and increase his offensive pressure, taking advantage of the possible 2 additional turns of sleep here. As we do see it happening with Smeargle switching out.
So the boost, the +2 special attack and +2 speed actually going to waste. Simon's coming in somewhat unsafely, since either of the opposing mons might actually wake up this turn.
True, but I guess it's a pretty reasonable play, as I mentioned earlier. I think Farman really needs to make some big play to switch things up a little bit and gain a bit of offensive momentum.
So Lucario stays asleep. Is Suikun about to take a... Yes, Suikun takes a second turn of sleep as well.
It's essentially a free switch in for Salamence here, and not a bad one. Switching into a Concoder, which is going to be able to deal lots of damage to with its super effective Hyper Voice. Although I don't think it wants to be facing off Suicune yet, even though it has follow me support from Lucario, since Salamence probably doesn't want to stay in this position for more than one turn. Quite a high chance Lucario is going to be wiped out by a combination of Conqueror and Suicune's attacks, even if it does get out, especially if it does get out of the follow me actually.
So if it's Ice Beam and Ice Punch, Lucario would actually take those fairly comfortably.
But to see what Ite goes for. First move coming off, okay, his Hyper Voice goes.
As we see in the Conqueror, it's going to survive, barring a critical hit.
Takes quite a sizable chunk of damage though.
A crit on the Suicune, who wakes up and does go for the Ice Beam, which will go into follow me.
Breaking the Lucario sash most importantly, allowing for Conkeldur's potential fighting moves to pick it off.
And he does go for the Drain Punch to finish off the Lucario.
Probably going to heal a ton of health too, which probably would allow Conkeldur to take another Hyper Voice actually.
I'm actually not sure. It looks like it might come down to a damage roll there.
It's true, especially since there's a... Not quite sure whether there's a chance for Suicune to be taken out by Hyper Voice, but we'll see.
So, Smeargle coming in, it's somewhat right target for Mach Punch here. So, the obvious play here will be Spiky Shield and have Salamence Hyper Voice, but if he does that, Hyper Voice is not going to be enough to finish off the Suicune, and the Suicune is going to take him out with Ice Beam.
But Smeargle being on the field is quite important now, since it's going to divert a lot of ETA's attention onto it, especially with the threat of Dark Void against two slower Pokemon. So I guess Salamence has a bit more leeway to maneuver, a bit more free reign right now, just having Smeargle next to it.
Oh, but the Mach Punch just go off, so Yu Jie not falling for the...
Probably Ice Beam gonna come into the Salamence slot now, where to see how much Hyper Voice does.
Going to finish off
but it does finish off
and
both
takes out the
Conqueror and Suicune. That's big. We'll see ETS still has a Mungus in the back, probably Kangaskhan next to it.
Yes.
Not really a good position for him, facing off Salamence and Chandelier, both at full health.
Oh, Farman looking fairly comfortable here.
I guess it really depends on what.
Is asleep and has not taken. He has taken one turn of sleep.
It really depends a lot on what exactly Farman is running on his Chandelier. As we said, it's still a mystery whether it actually carries Will-O-Wisps, which would probably make or break the Kangaskhan matchup right here. I guess Mungus isn't really much of a threat now, being asleep and being vulnerable to both Salamence's and Chandelier's very powerful stab attacks. And Kangaskhan doesn't really like facing off Salamence as well, and it really won't like facing off Chandelier if it does prove to have the Will-O-Wisps. So pretty good spot for Farman here. Will be hard to imagine him throwing it away, save for his Chandelier's moveset being really wacky.
So if the Chandelier really only has overheat as his attack, then he has, and Farman could try to go for the double target.
Okay, we see Sucker Punch failing to connect with Chandelier.
Are we going to see the
probably
Will-O-Wisps or the Acid Armor or the Will-O-Wisp? Oh, it's a Taunt!
Taunt onto a Mungus.
So if a Mungus wakes up, it's probably not going to get a Spore off, but he takes a second turn of sleep anyway.
Either way, ETA has effectively wasted an opportunity to get free damage onto his Salamence by Sucker Punching Chandelier. So
which is also a bit strange since we saw in the previous battle that Sucker Punch does not KO Chandelier.
You really have to wonder whether Farman does carry the Will-O-Wisps now, especially since Chandelier is taking the Sucker Punch. Probably not, I would guess. And we're going to see Salamence firing a Hyper Voice off.
It's going to be enough to finish up the game. Barring an overheat miss.
Yep, I guess we'll get to see Chandelier launching an overheat here. So Farman's full moveset still a mystery, though it's pretty safe to assume that he doesn't carry Will-O-Wisps. Because I'm guessing that he would have gone for Will-O-Wisps the previous turn to secure essentially a 100% win condition.
So we actually do go to a game 3 with Yu Jie's dominant performance in game 1, somewhat negated in game 2, and Farman still yet to pull off his chief combo.
Yeah, but it really shows you how Farman does really hold the upper hand in this situation. Much more favorable team matchup, I would say. As we saw, he was able to overwhelm Yu Jie quite easily just by the combination of offensive pressure posed by Salamence and Chandelier, which matches up surprisingly well against ETA's standard team, considering how rare Pokemon Chandelier is in this format. Quite an interesting thing we've seen here, and I'm guessing that's probably going to take off a little bit. Chandelier matching up quite well against a lot of the big chalk Pokemon.
Yu Jie is going to think carefully about bringing both of his flying leagues into this game again. With both Conqueror and Among Us just falling prey to Sunderland's very strong Hyper Voice.
I'm not actually sure how well Yu Jie's lead matchup actually worked for him. Like I did mention, it's quite a soft lead.
It's very passive.
Not a lot of offensive pressure and not a lot of things deterring Farman from setting up.
Yeah, as we saw, turn 1 play out perfectly for Yu Jie. Yet even with that going his way, he still couldn't make anything happen because Among Us and Suicune just aren't going to be giving you the kind of advantage that other mons will be able to do given a free turn.
I guess that's part of the problem of Yu Jie's team all being so slow, with the fastest thing on his team probably being either the Kangaskhan or Heatran, which aren't exactly that much fast to start with. Actually, I'm kind of wondering why Yu Jie hasn't really brought in Heatran yet, since Heatran seems to match up against most of Farman's team quite well defensively, effectively walling the Chandelier, being quite an effective deterrent against Auroras. Even though it does fear Lucario's close combat, Lucario doesn't really want to be in a situation where it's facing it off against Heatran much.
And Suicune still hasn't gone for the tail, which might actually work for Yu Jie. Yeah.
Oh, but we see Farman bringing the very interesting lead of both Kangaskhan and Suicune. Sorry, Kangaskhan and Salamence, while Yu Jie brings Kangaskhan and Suicune out. Total switch from both players.
You would expect the Salamence to be the one Mega in here, as opposed to the Kangaskhan.
Yeah, but that really begs the question why Farman would bring in Kangaskhan in this case, since a non-mega Kangaskhan doesn't really do much. Not very impressive base stats and very mediocre ability, so...
Clearly he wants to fake out on turn 1, but with Salamence as his partner, I don't really see how much he gets out of it. If he fakes out the Suicune to block the tailwind of the Ice Beam, Salamence is not going to be able to do that much damage with that free turn.
And bringing in Kangaskhan into this matchup kind of limits Farman's options, since his pretty solid core has been effectively broken up. Not sure how he's going to be able to get off, probably not going to be able to get off any boost quite as easily anymore, so...
If I could guess, I think he would have dropped the Chandelier, because he was doing a bit of damage over heat, but other than that, he was still not doing that much work on the field, honestly.
That's true, since Yu Jie is probably aware that Farman's Chandelier no longer does not carry Will-O-Wisps. It's not quite as powerful as it would have been in the previous 2 games. No longer really deterring Kangaskhan from doing as much.
And we do see Farman choose his Mega to be the Salamence.
No real surprise there. Salamence probably a normal Salamence probably a lot more dead
normal
weight.
Salamence going for a single hit power-up punch.
Doing pitiful damage even with the critical hit.
Interesting choice to say the least. Yu Jie
getting another critical hit onto Suicune, which is
going
just
for
quite
his
a
own
lot.
power punch, though 2 hits this time, and on regular Kangaskhan's much inferior form, it's gonna do a lot more damage.
Especially with the critical hit, yeah, you really do see the difference between normal Kangaskhan and Mega Kangaskhan's damage output.
Skull goes off into the Kangaskhan building.
Probably gonna take it out. Oh.
Goes down to 1 HP but gets the burn, so Kangaskhan will be going down this turn, and that +1, well, I wouldn't have expected Kangaskhan to be making much noise on the field anyway. Even
really not sure what Farman intended right here, bringing Kangaskhan.
Well,
it didn't really do anything.
He would, that +1 would give him likely a Sucker Punch KO on either on the Kangaskhan at least at this point.
But either way, he's in a pretty good position here with Lucario on the field, able to redirect attacks.
Yeah. With the Follow Me and Hyper Voice here, fairly. But at the same time, if he goes for the Follow Me Hyper Voice play, I'm not sure if he kills Suicune. If he doesn't, then Yu Jie is free to go for a Protect on his Kangaskhan and Tailwind with the Suicune.
That's true, but either way, Lucario being on the field adds a lot of offensive pressure here. Not too bad a position. We'll have to see how
Yu
it
Jie might
plays
choose
out.
to go for the +2 Sucker Punch on the Salamence, which I don't think kills actually, but we shall
Okay,
see.
Follow Me coming off. Probably gonna
Trying to redirect
clear sign
towards
and Farman's
Sucker
gonna go
Punch.
for Hyper Voice.
He does go for the Sucker Punch, he goes into the Follow Me, and Yu Jie gets Farman does get a free Hyper Voice off,
And that's
which
a
will
dead
KO the
Kangaskhan.
Kangaskhan. Though I think Suicune is going to go for the Tailwind this turn. Oh, he goes for the rest. So using his Chesto Berry for his own purpose this time, rather than to recover from Dark Void. So Suicune recovers all the way back to full health, and will wake up with the Chesto Berry.
Quite a game-changing move here, since it makes Salamance's life a lot more difficult to get once again. Lucario still stands in the way with his Follow Me. Guess we'll just see what comes out. Oh, but Yu Jie brings out Cresselia. Even more passive Mon as compared to his previous choices.
Effectively walling, since Hyper Voice is not going to be doing much damage, and Lucario just unable to touch Cresselia at all. forced to follow me away the ice beams, really.
Yeah, Salamence is in a really bad position here. It's not going to be able to do much to both Cress and Suicune, and both these Pokemon probably carry Ice Beam, so... Even with Lucario redirecting attacks, Lucario is not going to be able to do much to both of these Pokemon as well, so... It's probably going to take a while, but I don't really see any way Farman's going to be able to pull out of this.
And also, Future does have the Trick Room option here as well.
Even if Farman does switch out into anything, I don't really see anything that would really change this position too much.
It's likely the Smeargle or the Chandelier. Chandelier cannot come in here at all, and the Smeargle
is even worse off.
In a way, yeah. No switches from Farman. Just goes for Hyper Voice and probably a close combat onto Suicune, which he does go for.
Yeah, I guess he really doesn't have any way out then. Otherwise, we probably would have seen him.
So no follow me here. So the Ice attacks come out from Yu Jie. But Yu Jie, perhaps fearing the follow me, does go for the safer play of the Skull onto Lucario.
Oh, and we do see the Trick Room play.
Which makes the advantage effectively negated.
Really, I really don't see any way Farman's going to be able to come out back from this. The rest of his team is pretty fast and frail. Not gonna...
Lucario can't take more than one hit, so even if you follow me, it's the first ice attack away. Or rather, the Cresselia is probably going to go for the Psychic to KO the Lucario, and the Suicune's Ice Beam will then safely go into the Salamence.
Yep, even if Chandelier does come out after that, probably going to be too late to stop E-Tier's Pokemon. Especially if he does carry something like Kelda in the back with a knockoff, which is going to wipe out Chandelier in one hit probably. Yeah, doesn't really look like there's any way Farman's going to be able to turn this around.
Farman does go for the switch, not wanting his Salamence to go down to a free Ice Beam. And he does bring the Chandelier, so actually leaving his Smeargle at home this game.
Not a bad decision, I guess.
Psychic KOs the Lucario, so but no follow me either. And now Suicune either gonna Ice Beam or score. Actually gets a Calm Mind, so no Tailwind actually on the Suicune set. A Calm Mind rest set. A throwback to what YA used to run.
I haven't seen a Calm Mind being ran on Suicune for a while. Most Suicunes nowadays tend to prefer providing speed control or Tailwind.
I've seen Calm Mind rest on Suicune as recently as Reuven's Australian nationals team.
Hasn't really been a dominating force anywhere in the world yet, though. Otherwise, we'd be hearing a lot more of it. Actually, puts Suicune in a much better position than it would have running Tailwind, especially on this team right now, staring down two special attackers, can't really touch it anymore.
Psychic goes on the Chandelier and Ice Beam, or actually goes for the rest, the safer play, realizing that with both special attackers left, the Farman's side of the field, Suicune is free to take his turns of sleep and take very little damage in the meantime.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, we do see Shadow Ball coming off. Gonna hit Suicune. Probably not gonna do that much since Suicune got its Calm Mind up. And a Dragon Pulse onto Suicune as well.
So Farman might have been fishing for a special defense drop from the Shadow Ball there.
Probably his only way out. But leaving Cresselia alone isn't exactly safe either, since Cresselia probably carries Ice Beam, wiping out. But either way, there's Skill Swap coming off, depriving Farman of the Hyper Voice option.
So he still has Dragon Pulse, and he was using Dragon Pulse in the previous turn.
Perhaps he saw that coming, perhaps knowing ETS preference for running Skill Swap. That's why he ran for Dragon Pulse. But Chandelier goes for the Psych Up. Gonna copy Suicune's Calm Mind boost. Interesting. Might actually change the outcome of this game a little, depending on how much we are gonna see.
And really, Yu Jie going for the Skill Swap there, accomplishing very little. A waste of a turn there in which he could have taken down the Salamence.
This is actually really interesting right now because
a Shadow Ball would actually kill Suicune at this point with +1 from the Psych Up. Yeah, and Suicune is stuck sleeping regardless this turn.
So Cress really has no way breaking Chandelier, not with that Calm Mind boost up. Suicune going to take its turn of sleep. So I imagine we're going to see Suicune going down now to a Shadow Ball. And if it does, that's pretty much but he chooses to target Cresselia instead. Not very sure of that decision, I guess. Let's see how that works out. Okay, Dragon Pulse going into the Suicune, I would imagine. Yeah, but is it enough to take it out? Not quite. But Trick Room runs out, so
yes, it all works out in Farman's favor. Now with two likely faster mons on the field, with Chandelier at +1, Dragon Pulse is going to take out Suicune here, and Shadow Ball will finish off Cresselia. And all of a sudden, Yu Jie is going to be down to his last mon.
Yeah, it's kind of funny how we were, just earlier we were praising ETS decision to go for Calm Mind. And that's just been turned around by Farman's Psych Up. Not really a move we expected to see. Quite an interesting Chandelier set.
Given the context of the team.
Indeed.
Since the Auroras carry Psych Up as well.
So I guess it's It's a really interesting set. We don't see any protect on Chandelier. Not what we expected, given how frail Chandelier is.
+1 over here is going to be doing a ton of damage here.
Probably, but Dragon Power's not gonna do quite as much to the relatively bulky Kong. Guess we'll see how much overheat does now.
It's probably going to be enough with the +1 boost.
Is it?
Takes
Yes,
down the
it
conqueror,
is.
and Farman wins the Premier Challenge with the Geomancy Smeargle team.
Congratulations to Farman. I believe that's his first ever Premier Challenge victory.
And it should be noted, Farman did it without even pressing the Geomancy button.
stealing away ETS opportunity, and yet another victory here.
Carmine
Duellers point.
really biting Yu Jie in the ass there.
Probably would have been able to pull that game off if he did go for the more offensive play, I believe, right? Yeah.
The Cresselia just using its turns to somewhat leave. He let his Suicune rack up too much damage while just leaving the Salamence alone, thinking that just skill swapping it away would neuter it, but Dragon Pulse just kept racking up damage on the Suicune.
But I guess that does highlight the big problem we noted with this matchup for Yu Jie, which was that the majority of his team was just too slow or too passive to really punish Farman's attempts at setting up, and that allowed Farman to get into this position, pull out all his tricks, and take advantage of the Carmine and just,
And I think
set up in ETS face.
Rest sealed his own fate there because he just left him sitting down for 2 turns when on the turn he rested, he could have just picked up a kill on either the Chandelier or the Salamence.
I guess ETS attempts to play a bit more defensively, a bit more slowly, and rely on setting up to secure win conditions. Backfired in this case since
Because
Farman was able to steal essentially his boost through Suck Up. He basically let ETA basically he just basically did all the boosting for Farman and gave Farman that win condition that he wouldn't otherwise have had. Yes, quite an interesting use of Psych Up, and I'm sure we're going to see more of that in the future since it does demonstrate how powerful Psych Up is, especially in this meta game where we're beginning to see a lot more setup than before.
It's just questionable in general because when you have a Cresselia and a Suicune on the field, and the Suicune has revealed Calm Mind, there's very little reason for the Suicune to be going for the rest since all the attention is going to be focused on the Suicune, and by using rest, you just invite all the attention to come while you're unable to react for the next 2 turns.
That's true. You really have to wonder why he would go for rest when it means he's going to be effectively immobilized for about 3 turns, I believe.
Yes.
And we've seen we should have been able to roughly estimate that Suicune's not really going to be able to take those 3 turns, even without the Carmine boost
and
of
without the
Chandelier.
Psych Up. Yeah. Or in fact, even if he was bulky enough, all it would take was 1 Shadow Ball special defense drop, and that would be it.
Guess
He
you
could
really
just be sitting there, unable to do anything while his turns just ticked away.
I guess it was quite the game-changing misplay there from ETA going for the Carmine. Really, perhaps we're going to have to ask him later why exactly he did it. For now, it's just a mystery for us since we can't really think of any really logical reason why he would want to go for that.
He probably thought it was the safe play since he thought Suicune could not be broken by the Chandelier and Salamence combination, especially after skill swapping away Air Relay.
That's true. I guess it shows you just how offensive this metagame is now, especially in contrast with 2013, where Wine used to run her Carmine Suicune quite easily, quite effortlessly. It would easily secure games just getting to maybe +1 or +2, but for now it seems that even at +1 it's not really as breakable as we thought it was.
Alright, so now we'll be going into an interview with our winner of our Premier Challenge, Farman.
Okay, gonna have Farman on screen now, and thank you for watching. That's all the games we have for today. Okay, don't go away just yet. Okay, and we're back, and over here now we have Farman, the winner of today's Premier Challenge. So Farman, I believe this is your first Premier Challenge, right? Victory, right? How does it feel?
I don't know, man. I'm still nervous about. I feel pretty nervous.
Pretty nervous, but I think you quite convincingly won today's Premier Challenge. Just watching you play was Poetry in motion, I would say you really just seized control over most of the games that you won, and I think it was brilliantly executed. I mean, okay, this team is a team we saw at the World Championships. What really inspired you to grab it and make it your own today?
Okay, I've been using Smeargle for quite a while, and okay, I'm quite scared of fake out from opposing Kangaskhan. So I have a Chandelier and Inner Focus Lucario to help me deal with Kangaskhan.
Also, you think it was more of how this team just matched your playstyle really well and you just felt comfortable using it?
Yeah, I felt very comfortable.
No, I guess that's not really surprising. We've known you for quite a while, and we've realized that you're not really a fan of more orthodox strategies. So having something this perhaps a bit more I don't really want to say gimmicky, because it's a really solid strategy that matches up against so many big threats out there. But you know what I mean. It's not really run of the mill, and you're a lot more comfortable playing with these kind of tricks, I guess.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, that's good. Yeah, it's always important to find a team you're very comfortable with. Do you see yourself carrying this team further? Because I mean, now all your tricks have been. I mean, most of us are aware of exactly what tricks this team packs, and a lot of your big secrets, like perhaps Psych Up and Chandelier, which most of us weren't really expecting.
Yeah.
Since they've been revealed, do you think that's going to change things for you in the future?
I'm not sure actually, because to be fair, right, I kind of tilted at round 3 where I brought Salamence and Kangaskhan because I was under pressure. I felt that I can't use Smeargle on round 3 since that he already realized.
Yeah, that was quite an interesting decision there. We wanted to ask you about it actually. Like, what really have you used the Kangaskhan Salamence combination before?
No, actually. I just used it because I was under pressure.
Okay. Well, I guess you can see that you're probably not going to be able to want to do that in the future since it didn't really work out as well. But hey, you still managed to pull the game out.
Yeah.
Good job on that.
Yeah, I mean, I've fought Yu Jie and Swiss, so I kind of know how he plays, basically. Things like Skill Sword Priscilla or Chesto Berry on his
Oh, so that's why you went for the Dragon Pulse onto Suicune that turn, even though Hyper Voice would have done more damage, expecting the Skill Sword. Ah, I see. Interesting.
And
great demonstration of how important information game is.
And Suicune, right, has the pressure ability. Since I don't use any PPR, I was at risk of running out of PP.
Yeah, it's not really common that we actually see pressure playing that big a role, but in this game, yeah, it did. Oh well, congratulations, good work, and hope to see you in the future. And you're gonna walk away with this brand new copy of Pokemon Super Mystery Dungeon. Have you actually bought the game yet?
No.
Well then, good for you. You got it for free today. Congrats. Well, I had to fork out about $40 yesterday.
Yeah, thanks.
So, good job.